Newsflash.
We're here with just the facts. It's Mrs. Klein.
And Mr. Creighton. And we are here with your next podcast, Chapter 10, Lesson 2, titled The Crusades. In the last podcast, you learned about the power of the Catholic Church in Europe. In earlier lessons, you learned about the spread of Islam to parts of Southwest Asia, North Africa, and Europe. Today, during this podcast, you will learn about the effects of contact between Christians and Muslims. Just a reminder, you're going to have a vocab quiz, podcast quiz coming up pretty soon, and there are a lot of terms and names you need to know. The terms are Seljuk Turk, Crusades, Saladin, Reconquista, and Inquisition. Just remember, when you hear this sound, it means you just heard a vocab term.
All right, you guys, and just another reminder, we've got a big idea for this unit, which is conflict brings about change. The first essential question for you to be considering is, what impact did feudalism have on medieval Europe?
The next essential question, how important is keeping order?
Number 3, how do civilizations change and adapt after conflict?
And the final essential question, how does religion play an important role in shaping civilizations?
Okay, you guys, the first section in this lesson is titled Battle for Palestine, and you're going to find the information on pages 327 and 328. And be thinking of this question as you're listening to this podcast. Why did Christians want to conquer Palestine? Okay. The Crusades took place from the 1000s to the 1300s. They were a series of religious wars by Christian armies to capture Palestine. Christian rulers from Western Europe fought these wars to take Palestine from Muslim control. They wanted control of this area for religious and political reasons. European Christians thought of Palestine as a sacred site because of its connection to the life of Jesus. They called the area the Holy Land. This area is also sacred to both Jews and Muslims.
Crusaders also went to war to help the Byzantine Empire. The Orthodox Christian rulers of the Byzantine Empire asked Catholic Christians in Europe for help in fighting the Seljuk Turks. At that time, the Seljuk Turks controlled Palestine. They threatened to invade the Byzantine Empire. Byzantine rulers turned to Catholic Europe for help in resisting this threat.
The First Crusade started in 1096. It began badly. European armies failed to take enough supplies, and tens of thousands of people died on the way. In Constantinople, the Crusaders fought Muslim armies, winning control of a narrow strip of land along the Mediterranean. In 1099, they captured Jerusalem. Most of the Crusaders then returned to Europe. Those who stayed divided the land into 4 Crusader states, each ruled by a European noble. All right, you should be able to answer this question. Why did Christian leaders in Europe want to capture the Holy Land?
All right, our next section is Muslims return to power. You can find this on pages 328 to 329. How successful were the Muslim armies after the First Crusade? The Second Crusade took place from 1147 to 1149. It began after Muslim Turks recaptured one of the Crusader states. This crusade ended in defeat for the Crusaders largely because the French and German armies failed to work together.
Until the late 1100s, other Crusader states remained under European control. Muslim armies failed to retake them because Muslims in Palestine and Egypt did not work together. But by 1187, Saladin, a skilled military and political Muslim leader, had united Egypt, Syria, Palestine, and parts of Southwest Asia in a single state. Under his rule, Muslim armies took back much land lost during the First Crusade and recaptured Jerusalem.
News of Jerusalem's fall led Pope Gregory VIII to launch a third crusade, 1189 to 1192. Crusaders failed to retake Jerusalem, but in 1192 the two sides agreed to stop fighting. Jerusalem remained under Muslim control, but Christians were allowed to visit the city's holy places. The question you guys should be able to answer right now, what was Saladin's role in the Third Crusade?
Okay, our last section of this lesson is Muslims recapture Palestine. Again, you can, hopefully you're following along in your history book. You can find this information on pages 329 to 331 and be thinking of this question as you listen along. How did the Crusades affect Europe? Europeans led 5 more Crusades. None succeeded. When the last one ended in 1270, Muslims had complete control of Palestine.
The Crusades helped and hurt Europe. The Crusades led to greater trade between Asia and Europe. Crusaders brought back Asian goods such as spices, cloth, and new foods like sugar and lemons. Crusaders also returned with large sums of money. Trade and the flow of money helped towns grow.
The Crusades weakened the feudal system. During the Crusades, many feudal lords lost soldiers, money, and other resources. This weakened their power. Other national leaders, like the King of France, gained power.
The Crusades also caused new tensions between Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Crusaders murdered many Jews on their way to Palestine. Once there, they did the same to Muslims. Fear and hatred of Christians remained strong after the Crusades ended.
During the 700s, Muslims took control of the peninsula that includes Spain and Portugal. Okay, you guys remember when we were studying our unit on Islam, we know that. We're talking about the Iberian Peninsula and the city of Cordoba. Okay, Muslims had a great influence in this particular area. So just as a reminder, Muslims took control of the peninsula that includes Spain and Portugal. Under Muslim rule, Spain thrived. The mixing of Muslim and Jewish cultures led to great achievements in arts and science. By the 1000s, Muslim control began to weaken, though. Spanish and Portuguese slowly fought to regain land under Muslim control. The Reconquista, or recapture of lands under Muslim control by Spain and Portugal, lasted almost 500 years. It ended in 1492. By then, Spanish rulers King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella had recaptured all lands under Muslim control.
Spain's rulers used their military and religious power to unite the Spanish people and end Muslim rule. Around 1480, they launched the Inquisition. This was a special court held by the Catholic Church to punish people, especially Jews and Muslims, who did not accept the Christian faith. Inquisition courts tortured and killed many Spanish Jews and Muslims. In 1492, Spanish armies drove out the last Muslim rulers. In that same year, Spain's rulers forced all Jews and Muslims to leave Spain. The question you guys should be able to answer right now: how did the Crusades affect the economy and government of Europe and relations among religious groups?
Okay, once again, you guys, as a reminder, there's a pretty decent number of vocabulary terms, and you're going to have a podcast quiz coming up soon. A reminder, the words are Seljuk Turk, Crusades, Saladin, Reconquista, and Inquisition.
So tired.
Mission accomplished.